Have you ever stopped and wondered if, I don't know, some really big global shift just happened without you noticing?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe what looked like just another diplomatic trip was actually sort of a quiet turning point, something that's going to subtly change things down the line.
Oh, absolutely. It happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We get caught up in the loud headlines.
Yeah, exactly.
And the really strategic foundational stuff can just quietly unfold right in plain sight, but missed.
Well, that's pretty much what we're diving into today. We're not just here to recap PM Modi's recent trip to Namibia.
No.
We really want to unpack why this specific visit might have been way more impactful than most people realized, why it was more than just, another tour.
Yeah, and what really jumps out when you look at the sources is the history part. This was actually the first time ever.
The first time.
The very first time an Indian prime minister set foot in Namibia, ever.
Yeah.
And that's not just a bit of trivia, right?
Yeah.
It immediately taps into this bond they've had since they were both fighting for independence.
That's fascinating. It lays a whole different foundation.
It really does. A foundation that maybe wasn't fully explored before.
It's easy to just write off a first visit as like symbolic, a photo opportunity.
Sure. It happens a lot.
But the sources we looked at make it pretty clear this was about way more than just symbolism, wasn't it? They actually laid some concrete groundwork.
Definitely. Across quite a few different areas.
We saw new partnerships mentioned in energy and technology, which, okay, you often expect that.
Standard fare sometimes.
But what really stood out, at least to me, was this pretty significant agreement on wildlife conservation, specifically cheetahs.
Yes. That cheetah agreement is, it's really interesting because it points to something bigger, a more maybe holistic view of partnership.
How so?
Well, the sources suggest it wasn't just let's protect cheetahs. It involved this new public-private partnership idea.
Okay.
And a real commitment to transfer specific tracking technologies, things India has developed.
So practical application.
Exactly. And that could actually become a blueprint, you know, for other conservation efforts between continents. It treats wildlife almost like a shared diplomatic asset.
Not just an environmental issue on the side.
Precisely. It shows they're willing to think beyond just the usual economic or political deals.
Okay, so let's pivot to those more traditional areas then. Economy, technology. What specifics really jumped out there for someone watching closely?
Right.
When the sources mention green energy or digital innovation, what are we actually talking about? Like big solar farms? Or is it that green hydrogen stuff Namibia is keen on?
Good question. So on green energy, the sources really highlighted solar power capacity building.
Okay.
And integrating it into the grid. There was a big emphasis on transferring technology for managing that grid sustainably.
So building an ecosystem together, not just India selling panels or something.
Exactly. Joint development. And on the digital side, they specifically mentioned looking at digital public infrastructure.
Like India's UPI payment system, that kind of thing.
Sort of like that, yeah. Exploring partnerships there.
Mm-hmm.
And also pretty significant investment in skills transfer. Training locals in AI, data analytics, that sort of thing.
So it's not just about trade now, it's building for the future, both economies.
That's the sense you get, building future capacity together.
What I also found really interesting reading through the material was how this visit wasn't just about the formal meetings and, the high-level stuff. There was this real emphasis on connecting with the Indian diaspora there.
Yeah, that was clear.
And maybe more broadly, trying to inspire a new generation with this vision of a strong India-Africa partnership. That feels like a really important long-term investment, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Engaging the diaspora, it's smart modern diplomacy, isn't it? You leverage those existing links.
Right, cultural, economic ties.
But aiming to inspire the youth, that points directly to a long-term strategy. It's about sustained cooperation, maybe, not just quick wins.
Did the sources give examples of how they're doing that?
Yeah, they mentioned scholarships for Namibian students to study tech in India. And joint cultural exchange programs. So direct investment in people, building those connections for, decades down the road.
Cultivating relationships for the long haul.
Exactly.
So looking ahead then, beyond the deals signed on this trip, it sounds like it really opened the door for more, right? More investment down the line.
Seems that way.
Our sources pointed to more exploration in those green energy areas we talked about, maybe even that green hydrogen potential Namibia has.
It certainly sets the stage for it.
And further digital collaboration. Plus, just preparing the ground for deeper cultural links, which is always good to see.
And what's really worth noting there, I think, is the type of opportunities. Focusing on green energy, advanced digital tech. It points towards a really future-focused partnership.
Right, not just old-school resource deals.
Exactly. It aligns with, global trends, sustainable development goals. Yeah. It feels less like what can one country get from the other, and more like
what can we build together?
Yeah, building resilience, building growth in both places.
So when you kind of pull it all together, this deep dive really shows this visit wasn't just a quick stop, a handshake.
No, definitely not.
It feels like it was genuinely about deepening a friendship, driving some real progress, and taking a pretty bold step towards a shared future for India and Namibia, real diplomatic groundwork.
It does feel like a quiet but pretty pivotal shift.
So as we wrap this up, it feels pretty clear, doesn't it?
Right.
What might have looked like just another diplomatic trip on the surface was actually quite a significant moment, a watershed maybe, marked by those historical firsts we talked about and these really foundational forward-looking agreements.
Yeah, the kind of thing that quietly shapes the future.
Yeah.
Away from the daily news grind.
We've seen how it's strengthened those historical ties, building on that shared independence history.
Right.
But also forged these new strategic partnerships in energy, tech, and that really unique wildlife conservation deal, the cheetah protection one.
Those are concrete outcomes, aren't they? Tangible results showing a new level of engagement. Solar tech transfer, digital infrastructure plans, the Cheetah Project.
And zooming out from the specifics, there's that broader vision we touched on.
The India-Africa Alliance idea.
Exactly. Driven by investment, yes, but also in people, in innovation, leading to deeper cultural ties. It really speaks to long-term thinking, mutual benefit.
And this whole deep dive really underscores how interconnected everything is.
How so?
Oh, it just shows how these seemingly distant diplomatic moves, like a PM's first ever visit somewhere, can actually ripple outwards.
Creating real benefits.
Yeah. Tangible opportunities from economic growth in new sectors like green tech to actual environmental protection work on the ground. It impacts lives, landscapes, way beyond the initial headlines.
So here's something maybe to think about as you go about your day. How do these kinds of foundational steps, the ones that often fly under the radar, how do they really shape geopolitics? How do they lay the groundwork for cooperation, for prosperity across whole continents?
It's a good question.
And maybe what other hidden turning points like this one might be happening right now? Thinking about that might just give you a richer, maybe more accurate picture of how the world is actually changing. It's a pretty compelling thought, isn't it? If you want to be truly informed.